så har jag sagt något om senast gässen redan med vingar vid wandna.
God conquered will become Satan. Satan conquering will become God. May the fates spare me this terrible lot. I love the hell which formed my genius. I love the earth where I have done some good. If it be possible to do any good in this fearful world where beings live but by rapine. Now, thanks to us, the God of old is disposed of his terrestrial empire, and every thinking being on this globe disdains him or knows him not. And you're listening to the Modern Satanism Podcast. Hope you enjoyed that intro. Here's a strange force looking at me right now. And this is the Merry Xmas version of Modern Satanism, so I hope you enjoy it. I had a wonderful talk with Jed, that I can't see the rest of his name. I think you'll enjoy that with a little bit of blurbs and blobs and blah, blah, blah about Satanism and Christmas. And I can only say that we only grow and we grow stronger. So I hope you all have a Merry Christmas season, and I'll have more to say at the end of the podcast. Trust that.
You may picture the devil as a cartoon, complete with horns and pitchfork. Let's join him.
I see you sex offenders, child molesters, and pedophiles keep making videos about being gay and trying to say that I'm the most heterosexual male. You only wish that you could have fucked the bitches that I've had in my life, and let alone I bought more women than all you all have ever fucking had in all your life. You could ride me about escorts, but you know what? At the end of the day, I afforded it. And you guys are still sitting there broke on your welfare and getting Robin Hood checks from the government. And you can't afford shit. Meanwhile, everybody's fucking your wives. The niggers down the street are putting a cock in your wife's ass, and you're fucking crying like a dumb bitch. And I'm laughing my ass off. So, thanks again. We'll have our day with you all. You'll all be roasting in something like dead turtles.
That's right. That's our good friend and my nemesis, Tom Raspotnik, talking about the way he values people and the way he views society and women. So, I'd like to point out a few things about that little tirade that Tom was on there. And the first thing is, Tom, I don't know. I've never had to pay for a woman to get her to sleep with me or to fuck me. So, I don't know about that. That's a fact, Tom. I mean, if you want to pay for it, then I guess that's one thing, and it's anybody's business, but I don't know if I'd go around bragging about it. The second thing is, I don't know if Tom... hearing the word niggers come out of your mouth somehow rings a little bit, makes me uneasy and a little uncomfortable because of you being a overweight, dumb, fat guy, white, and moronic, and not cool enough to ever use that term, and, stop it, okay? Just stop talking, Tom, please. Yeah, and as far as being on welfare, and, well, Tom... You know, I have the strong feeling that you're not rolling in $100 bills. You might smell like an old $100 bill, but I seriously doubt if there's a bunch rolling around in your bed, your mattress is stuffed with them. I think that maybe you lived off your dad, and maybe you're just a fucking loser who talks out of his ass. And that's going to conclude my public service announcement about Tom Raspotnik and the stupid shit that he continues to say, and hail Satan. Oh, and the part about having your day, you bring it, Tom. Whenever you're ready, you bring it. I'm ready.
I'm so stupid.
Atheists who reject the Ten Commandments as detailed in the Bible and revered in the Judeo-Christian tradition have unveiled their own secular version of life's do's and don'ts. Lex Baer and John Figdor, authors of the book Atheist Mind, Human Heart, recently organized a crowdsourced contest to determine the 10 best atheist commandments and to modernize Old Testament ideals, creating an inclusive value set they say that is applicable in the modern era. Baer and Figdor's book, which is said to guide readers through their process for establishing and testing principles for living a reasonable, ethical, and happy life without God, was the basis for the quest to find an alternative set of regulations. They released these ideals on Friday morning. There is often a misconception that non-believers don't share strong ethical values, Figdor said, who is a human humanist chaplain at Stanford University, said in a statement, "In reading through the thousands of submissions in the contest, it's very clear that's not the case." He said that he believes there is overwhelming overlap as it pertains to moral values that can be found among the masses regardless of one's faith tradition. The public submitted their ideas in recent weeks for alternative secular commandments, with a panel of 13 prominent atheists and secularists weighing in to pick their favorites. The entries brimmed with compassion, empathy, and caring for humanity while endorsing science, reason, and critical thinking. Blumner proclaimed in a press release touting the results. It goes to show how closely linked these values are. 10 people collectively won the Rethink Prize, which was granted for their efforts in reimagining the traditional 10 Commandments. They will share a collective $10,000 prize. Here is the set of commandments. Number 1, be open-minded and willing to alter your beliefs with new evidence. Number 2, strive to understand what is most likely to be true, not to believe what you wish to be true. Number 3, the scientific method is the most reliable way of understanding the natural world. Number 4, every person has the right to control over their own body. Number 5, God is not necessarily to be a good person or to live a full, meaningful life. Number 6, be mindful of the consequences of all your actions and recognize that you must take responsibility for them. 7, treat others as you would want them to treat you, and you can reasonably expect them to want to be treated. Think about their perspective. Number 8, we have the responsibility to consider others, including future generations. Number 9, there's no one right way to live. Number 10, leave the world a better place than you found it. These were chosen among 2,800 total submissions. And I don't know about the treat others as you want them to treat you. Because there's some people are, the way they let others treat them is probably not the most healthy way for them to treat others. But that's another topic for another podcast.
Welcome to modern Satanism.
You can just call me Jed. You want me to text it to you?
No, we're recording now, so go ahead, Jeb.
Oh, okay. Hey, how's it going? Big fan of the show.
Good.
First-time caller.
You're like a natural, too, at this.
Yeah? Yeah, I did an interview at a radio show, and the guy said that, too, so I'll just keep trying to be good.
All right, just don't let your head get too swollen up there.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's the humility that makes you sound good.
Exactly, yeah. I've fallen from the sky too many times to make that mistake again.
Mm-hmm. So, you're local to me, and actually we should be talking in person, but through the miracle of technology and due to scheduling, changes, we're going to talk tonight. We're just going to talk on Skype and hang out.
Yeah, and we'll get some food tomorrow.
Yeah, we're totally down. Tomorrow we are drinking beers and talking in person.
That's right.
But
well, cool.
It's,
So all this holiday stuff's pretty exciting, huh?
Hey, you see the Washington Post? This is the year for Satanism.
Yeah, and there's some other magazine published a thing, the 4 things that Satanism is doing right for America.
Yeah. And you've got I just recently read the atheists who have rewritten the 10 Commandments.
I saw that, yeah, and the Mythbusters guy was one of the 13 judges.
Yeah, and I've already done a little snippet for the podcast, so people will be able to hear that on the podcast. But I think that that's interesting, and I think that if you were to read the Satanic Temple's tenets and those 10 Commandments they rewrote, somebody's copying somebody else.
Dude, it's eerily close.
Yeah.
But you know what? The way I look at it, we're not looking for credit. We're just, hey, if you want to take a good idea and run with it, fine.
Yeah, and if we can help you to become smarter, then you're welcome.
Exactly. Don't mention it. We're here.
Yeah, you don't have to give us the credit or nothing. We're just glad that you finally found the path.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I've been a self-identified Satanist for over 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. Hey, so let's talk about that. Oh, yeah, go ahead, and then we can talk about that.
Okay, well, there's been all kinds of groups, but this is the first time, I did some vetting and research and said, yes, this is something I can be a part of, something that I'm proud to be a part of, and something that I think I have things to offer. So it's just win-win all the way around.
Now, did you read the literature from the Church of Satan before? And
oh, yeah.
What'd you think about that when you first read it?
I kind of danced with them a little bit, maybe about 10 years ago, and, it seemed interesting, but not I just couldn't buy all the way in, you know?
Yeah. What kept you from it, do you think?
It was sort of the misogyny and this lack of compassion because, I mean, you know, severity without mercy is kind of a monster in a way.
I've always been kind of the mindset where you give people a chance and you try. And then if they want to be huge assholes, then, you know, I'm all done with you, really.
Well, yeah,
You know?
yeah. I mean, there's nothing more like righteous destruction, you know, but, you know, I'm kind of kidding there. But, you know, when somebody's, you know, given you the rope to hang them, it's like, come on.
And that's the way it works so often, too. They actually give you the rope, and you can literally hang them with their own rope. You know, I mean, it's just... It's always been kind of my mindset where you try to work things out with people first. You know, because if you're not going to try, then you're kind of a dick, and you deserve what comes to you. And if you don't follow that ideology, I guess, or that protocol, then the likelihood that bad things are going to happen to either you or the person you're involved with or both of you is high. You know what I mean? And you're never going to get anywhere. It's going to be a negative effect.
Yeah, and I've had situations where I'm like, you know, with people, it's like, you know what? I respect your sovereignty.
Yeah.
I don't care if you respect mine, you're gonna. And, you know, we're just like oil and water. We don't mix. So how about if I see you coming, I'll walk the other way. And if you see me, you walk the other way.
Yeah, because if you keep on coming, then you're done. And you ever have the experience where somebody mistakes your reasonable approach or your tolerance for weakness?
Just this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, without going too into it, there was a person nearby who runs a business, and he put some of his property on our property. And, you know, and I was like, where'd this come from? So I called him up because I had his number, and he's like, oh, yeah, sorry, you know, I knocked on your door. I was going to tell you. And I was like, well, first of all, you don't tell me shit. You ask. And he's like, well, you know, I'm just in a bind. I'm like, okay, you're in a bind. Let's have this taken care of. Let's get this stuff out of my yard. And when I called him back, and, you know, a couple of days went by, and when I called him back, he's like, no. I never said I was going to take it out the next day. It's not going to be till after the holidays.
Mom.
And I was just like, okay, clearly you're the type of person, real estate, you're in the kind of business that you think, you know, you bowl over people.
Yeah, exactly.
Bunch of double talk. And I just said, look, this conversation's over. Here's the last thing I'm going to tell you. Have this stuff out of here by this weekend, or it'll be on the street. And so he came by the next day and got it.
What you should have done is just taken all this shit.
You
own it. It's on your property, right?
You know, I don't have any use for it. It would be
no, but it would have been funny to take it and just go, okay, now I own it. Now I'm going to throw it away.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
So yeah, you know, the older I get, the quicker I am to realize when a person is reasonable and when they're looking for holes in my armor to, you know, sort of sneak in and get what they want.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who, you talked about bowling people over. There's a lot of people that think that, I've had problems with the leasing people where I rent my apartment, the leasing office, where they think they can say whatever fucking thing they want, and they can even say it's in the lease, and that makes it magically things that I have to follow.
Yeah.
You know, any fucking thing they want, oh, it's in the lease. Oh, but you know what? That's still against the fucking law. And because you can tell other people that and they accept it, I'm not one of those people. And I've had some serious, I'm about to get out of this place because I cannot deal with the stupidity and moronic bullshit that these people want to try and deal with me. And I tried to pay, so I was about to get kicked out, right? So I had to pay a lawyer to keep in my apartment. And I reluctantly agreed, okay, I'll pay $200 a month. No, for the lawyer. So I go in there on Saturday to pay this dude, Nathaniel, my $200. And he goes, oh, no. I can't take the check. You've got to drop it in the box. I go, no, I have a legal agreement. I need to pay this. If you could take a photocopy of the check, sign off on it, then I'll drop it in the box. But I need to know, it needs to be known because of my history with these people that I brought this check into the office. I don't handle checks.
Yeah.
I said, okay. If you don't handle checks, what if this was my rent check? Could you take it? Yes. I said, this is the same fucking thing.
Yeah, cover your ass, dude.
Take the fucking check, make a fucking photocopy of it, and then I'll drop it in the box, and we'll be all good. He goes, just drop it in the box. It'll be okay. I'm like, dude, you're not. He goes, and he tells me, you're not getting it. I go, no, Nathaniel, really, you're not getting it. Shut the fuck up. I just wanted to go, shut the fuck up for a minute and listen to me, because I know what I'm talking about, you jackass.
Yeah.
I should have brought the legal papers with me to show him, but he was just a dick for the sake of being a dick. And I think the whole thing was he was too lazy to go over and run the fucking photocopier or too dumb to know how it works.
Yeah, maybe a bit of both.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, semantically, he's telling you, no, you don't get it, as in, you're not following my orders.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get it is, no, I understand what you're trying to do, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, exactly. This is the way it's supposed to work, and this is the way we've already agreed with it for people who hired you. You know,
Yeah.
The lawyer and the property management have an agreement with me, a legal agreement, so it's binding. So the people who hired you have agreed to this already. And if you're going to be in that office, why the fuck is a dude even sitting in the office in the first place if he can't take a goddamn check?
Yeah. I mean, it's this. A friend of mine has this term: people that operate under illusions of entitlement
Or grandeur.
Yeah, and it's like, a lot of these professions that deal with all this double talk and talking people into doing things they don't want to do, or, it's just sort of this, kind of like organized religion. It's like, no, I have this authority to tell you what to do.
Yeah, because I've told people to do this for 100 or 1,000 years, and they've always done it.
Exactly, but guess what? The world's waking up. We took the red pill, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what not always, but a lot of times I like checking people on that when I tell them, you know what, just because you say it doesn't mean shit, really. You can say whatever, I can say whatever I want. It doesn't make it reality. It doesn't make it true.
Yeah, it's the whole, as humans, especially Americans, hey, here's a good joke for you. What do you call somebody that speaks 3 languages?
What?
Trilingual. What do you call somebody that speaks 2 languages? Bilingual. What do you call somebody that speaks 1 language?
What?
American. But we're just so enamored and hypnotized by our language that a lot of people don't realize that the words we're using aren't the things they represent.
Yeah, exactly. Or they have this sense of authority. Where they're the authority, especially, and you see this a lot in the corporate, and we see it a lot in legalese and contracts, especially online. A lot of the small print, because I've gone out with GoDaddy too over bullshit that they've done to me, and I've
Really?
Yeah, well, I won. But it's funny because who did I win against? Who was the one that fell on my side? PayPal, and now I'm having a problem with PayPal, over their bullshit. So you really can't win,
Well, I had this situation, speaking of which, I do a lot of Amazon sales.
Yeah.
I used to be a real big book collector, and I had this one book that turned out to be very valuable. It was the Islamic Book of the Dead. And so I sold it to this guy in Georgia, and, a couple of weeks later I got this message from him that said, hey, I didn't get my book. I just got an empty package in my P.O. box. I want a refund, or I want you to send me another book.
Oh, wow.
I went back and forth with him and the post office, and Amazon was like, you need to pay him his money. This is a customer courtesy thing. And I'm like, no, this guy's ripping me off. So I did my homework, went to the post office, and found out there was no way he could have received an empty envelope in his P.O. box without a note from the post office.
Nice.
So I told him, I'm like, yeah, hey, buddy, and I never really argued with him. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry that happened. I want to give you great customer service, So, he felt like he was getting over on me. And I said, hey, as soon as you send me a copy of that note that the post office put in there, we'll have your money on your way.
Yeah.
So he quit dealing with me and tried to use Amazon against me. And I told Amazon, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna need you in court for this case of mail fraud because you're heavily involved. So they just emailed me back. It's been taken care of. Don't worry about it anymore.
Nice.
Yeah. For a while when I was doing my 10 years ago, the sort of Church of Satan style, I called it my satanic pilgrimage. I went around to all my friends who bought lottery tickets, and I'm like, if I start a business, will you give me all that money? And I promise you a return. That didn't go so well. But, logically, I'm sure somebody like Lucian could word that just perfectly.
He would, too, because he's a beautiful speaker.
He's so good.
He's eloquent.
Well, I don't know. Did you see the Man Cow?
Yes, I did. I saw part of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah. Lucian has it covered.
Yeah, he's got it covered, but it was just such a circus, Oh, morning radio.
Well, yeah, what can you expect? And doing a podcast, actually, I find myself sometimes saying things that I might not normally say in conversation just because I know that it's worth the shock value, or it's just, going with the, I don't know, I don't want to say it's more of a entertainment thing. Well, you've got to keep people entertained,
Yeah, but, when you get to that extreme,
there's a line, though,
where you're having, like, the honking horns and the oh my,
Yeah.
Shoddy version of Howard Stern.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, a lot of people have compared me to Howard Stern, too, over the years.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, you don't, I don't have too much of a problem with Howard Stern. My only problem is, I'll disagree with people, and that's great, but he's got such a following, and there are so many people that are like, I don't have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
I'll just parrot what Howard Stern says.
Yeah. And that's
dangerous.
and when Howard Stern does the same thing we just talked about. Howard Stern says things because they're going to be entertaining or because of their shock value, and a lot of people take that to heart.
Right.
And you've got to keep that in mind. And you know what? Bill O'Reilly's guilty of the same fucking thing, and so is Beck and all those fucking Fox people. I mean, we all have that in common, but I think that I like to think that I keep that sense of responsibility that I have in mind. You know what I mean? I don't say shit that's going to be possibly damaging or cause other people to possibly do harm to others on purpose. You know what I mean? If it's done inadvertently or some crazy motherfucker takes it and just like misconstrues what I said or takes it in the wrong context, that you can't do a lot about that. But when you're straight out saying things that are harmful, like I think Howard Stern treats women like shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's harmful. I think it's harmful. I think his mindset's harmful. I know that the guys that listen to him like that, and I guess, I'm not really surprised by it because guys as a whole kind of disgust me anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, generally, the way they treat women and the way that they just just treat them like objects or a piece of meat or don't have to have respect for them because they like to take their clothes off or whatever it is they want to do. It's like, that doesn't mean you don't respect somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's insane. What's been getting my goat lately is the whole, catcalling and the way that men talk to women. I was on the train on the way to school, and this guy gets on, and all the, the VTA light rail, and all the seats are taken by one person. So the guy goes, which pretty girl do I get to sit next to?
Nice.
And I wanted to say, wow, nobody's uncomfortable now, asshole.
Yeah.
And I had that micro moment of my thoughts, like considering every possibility, and I ended up with the fact that if I did say something right then I was actually going to be the one to make it more uncomfortable. So once he got off, the girl that he sat next to, I said, hey, I'm really sorry that happened to you. Nobody should ever have to feel like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't speak up because I thought it would make you more uncomfortable. She's like, oh, thank you. Yeah, because once he sat next to me, it was already weird. So I appreciate your sentiments. But, man, we gotta get out there. We can't let this shit happen.
I don't let that shit happen. I always say something, even though I just mouth off. I can't help it. I just mouth off. And if it's gonna do somebody harm, I don't. But it's like a reflex action with me. I just don't take that bullshit. You know what I mean? I don't like it. I don't think it's right. And everyone has their own approach, and I kind of have my approach, and it's not always been the smartest thing for me to do.
Yeah.
But I can't help but be who I am, and I always take the consequences, and it's 99 times out of 100 it's worked okay. You know what I mean? So I'll stick with it.
I like devious planning.
No, don't get me wrong. I like that too.
No, I'm not saying mutually exclusive, but here's another story. I'm a storyteller. So I worked at this unnamed high-priced grocery store that pretends like it's saving the world, but it's really taking all your dollars and giving them to John Mackey. Oh, shit.
The initials WF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our produce department, these were some of the worst skeezers on the planet. These guys would walk right up next to a woman and get within 4 inches of their space and go, "Damn, girl, you need some help." And it just bothered me so bad. Well, luckily for me, and unluckily for them, I happened to be doing really into drag performances at the time, so I was really connected to the queer community.
Nice. Yeah, awesome.
So I got these 3 huge bears to come in, and I pointed out the guys that harassed women, and they did it to them.
That's so awesome.
They were like, "Damn, you look like you're untouched, son. Let me get some." And they did it. It lasted about 7 or 8 minutes, and then all the produce guys went in the back. And I kept calling them out. I'm like, "Customer needs service in the produce area."
They're like, "You go. No, you go. You go. You go."
Yeah, they all went on their lunches at the same time. I'm not
Nice.
sure how much effect it had, but it was fun to watch.
Yeah. But you know what? It might have had an effect, though. And that's how you do things.
Yeah, it was just so nice. I mean, hopefully my greatest hope is that it enlightened them. At the very least, it made them feel whether they
Pause for a minute, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think that's the best thing that I like to do to people is if I can just make them pause and think for a minute. I don't expect them to come over to my side necessarily, instantly. Because I've always said, if someone instantly says okay, and you win an argument with somebody when you're debating about religion or sexism or politics or whatever, if you win them over in one argument, they're kind of impressionable, and the next person who comes up with an alternative they're going to be there next. You know what I mean?
You are so right.
Yeah.
Yes, I've never thought of it that way, but yeah, I just always thought of it as a easily won battle and not worth counting. But yeah, your point that the next person's going to change their mind too is exactly perfect.
Yeah. But if you plant a seed and you let that person come to their own conclusions over time, I mean, of course there's going to be those people who are going to be impressionable and easily won over, and there's nothing you can do about that. If you can win that one argument, maybe if you have any luck, that'll last long enough so that it does somebody else good before somebody else comes in with an alternative bullshit to teach them. You know what I mean? But otherwise, when a person comes to their own realization and their own thoughts in their own mind and they actually consider things, that's a big win. It's a bigger win. You never see it. And I like to think that it's still, it's worth the fight.
Yeah.
You know?
But how about this, Reap? Do you ever think about, people like us in quotations, you know what I mean? We're, rebellious free thinkers, autonomous beings. But there's a lot of people out there that don't want to do the work to be that.
And they're never going to.
And where do they belong? Do we just take over their minds and say, no, you're much better with us? Or do we leave them ping-ponging around between the Scientologists and the Anabaptists and the...
I think that's why the fight never stops.
Yeah.
I think that's why the fight never stops. I think that's why it's an ongoing thing and is always going to be an ongoing thing, and we're never... And as Satanists, part of the Satanic Temple, we don't want to take over the earth, obviously.
No.
We just want to fight for what's right, and give you the information and let you decide for yourself and fall down and if you fall down on a side that we don't agree with, we're going to disagree with you, but we need to do it in a respectful way, and we need to do it. If you have to agree to disagree, we have to agree to disagree. Otherwise, we let our system decide it. And we at least have it out on a level playing field that's fair to everyone. And the people who are just not ever going to fall on one side or the other, which is most people, to be honest, we've just got to keep doing what we're doing and keep being vocal. And even though if you're I'm a small voice, I realize I'm a small voice. I don't have a huge amount of people listening to me. But if we add those small voices together, there's a tremendous amount of strength there. And I think that's where our strength is going to come from.
Yeah, and consistency. That's another thing that I've noticed.
Yeah, not being all wishy-washy.
Yeah, it's like we've got a consistent core message that is, it is susceptible to alteration and change, but the core message is there, and it's freedom and liberty.
Yeah, and tolerance. And
Yeah.
And control over what you own,
Yeah, definitely.
Which, first of all, would be your body, but anything you own, you should have control over it, I think.
Yeah,
as long as with the caveat, as long as you're not doing harm to others or actively harming other people. You know, and if that circumstance comes up, then we need to deal with that. And that's why I think what's the strength of our tenants is they're flexible and they are subject to change. If we come upon a circumstance where there's harm being done to others due to our mindset or the way we think, we need to rethink it and adjust it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't foresee that happening for the.
To be honest, I don't either. But
for the, at least our,
because we're very general right now.
Yeah.
And I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, it's going really well. Well, when I first started my chapter here in San Jose...
Wait a minute, you started a chapter of what?
The Satanic Temple.
Oh my God, you're so going to hell now.
I'm going to hell. There's a lot of things here in San Jose that... Did you see the video I made?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I'll have to send it to you. But,
yeah.
I had the chapter started for a week, and I had 200 likes on Facebook.
Nice.
Without much promotion. I didn't actively promote it.
Well, we're in an area with 9 million people in this Bay Area. You know that, right?
Yeah, but most of the people were from other states.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so it's like this network that we've got going is moving. And you know what? There's going to be little upsets, like little people that claim that they were an original founder and da-da-da. That's happened a couple of times. But, we just keep moving and remove ourselves from the
moving forward, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, we're not moving and dodging. We're moving and forward, and if people want to stay with us, they can. If not, you get left behind. That's all there is to it.
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
No, I haven't watched it. I've heard about it, though.
Yeah. There's a scene when one of the characters, there's a gun battle, and he's just walking straight through it. Kind of like, okay, you've seen Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Remember Robert Duvall just walking through the battle?
Or The Gauntlet with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah. So
you just drive through that shit.
Yeah, that's how I see it. It's like I'm walking through. If I get shot, I'll pull the bullet out. It's just total conviction, without.
But I think we've got the armor. I like the Clint Eastwood one myself because the bus, he gets it ready beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets the bus ready beforehand. He drives straight through downtown San Francisco with this girl. They're shooting at him, and he's got this shield up. And I think our shielding is the strength in our beliefs, and what we have strong convictions. We have strong beliefs, and they're well thought out. And I've told this to Lucian a few times, where that is our strength. We really believe in what we're fucking doing. And anyone who wants to come against us, and that's why Lucian can do so well, is because he really believes in what he's doing, and that's why I am not afraid to debate any son of a bitch on the planet who wants to come at me, because I believe and I've thought out the things that I believe in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been a thought process. It hasn't been off the cuff. It's not something I did yesterday. I am 45 years old, and there's some serious thought. You've got to have a pretty convincing argument to convince me, and you know what? I'm not going to say just because. I'll have a reason for every single thing I think.
Yeah, I gotta say, your logic. I hear you on your shows, and I listen, and sometimes your guests will say things that aren't, it's off the cuff.
Yeah, it's radio, it's podcast, it's radio, so.
Well, you're logic checking, and it's like, you sort of, say, hey, you didn't mean this. You meant, let's clarify what you just said. And, your logic is really great without coming across as like, I'm sort of a fan of Christopher Hitchens. I was telling my girlfriend this last night. But he seems like he's enamored with it, or he seemed like he was enamored with his own intelligence.
A little bit, yeah.
And when he'd make these arguments, it's like, man, your argument's flawless, but don't gloat, fucker.
Yeah. Humility is a strong thing. I mean, because you shoot yourself in the foot, kind of.
Yeah. Well, nobody. I mean, who likes a fucking smug know-it-all?
Yeah, exactly.
But you walk that line very well with presenting the logic and penetrating what your guests say and clarifying things. It was really, especially the last one, you and your buddies were having a really good time. I really liked that one.
We were? Who?
Sounded like it.
Wait till you hear the next one. Wait till you hear the next one. Thank you for the compliments, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so great.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to hear the fucking supreme evil that I plan for next year?
Yeah, let's hear.
Okay, number one, I'm not a vegetarian, but I respect vegetarians. But I definitely think the animals should not be abused or abandoned or killed because they're in the way. So
Yeah.
animal advocacy is a huge one.
Yeah.
Gender identity and education, because there's a lot of people that I know that, were born one sex or one gender and, switch, and it's...
My studio audience loves you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, because, I've got a lot of friends at school that are fighting because their professors refuse to use their gender pronoun correctly.
Yeah.
And they think it's some special treatment. So that's number 2. And number 3, we are the richest. We are one of the top 5 richest cities in the country.
Yeah.
And we've got tons of people starving. Nobody on earth should be starving.
Yeah, you know what? We're all on board with that, so we're gonna work that out. Yeah, we're gonna do some work together.
Yes. So those are my 3 evil plans for the year.
And you know what? You know what the best thing about that is? We're so close. We'll actually get this shit done.
Yes. Well, I've got another guy who reached out to me who's a card-carrying TST member. Real cool guy. Fuck, it turns out he's from the same town. He was born in the same town I was.
Nice.
What are the odds?
Yeah, really.
So between him, and you and I 2015 is going to be fun and hopeful and amusing and threatening to those that...
And I've got one of the guys on the board of directors for Bay Area Skeptics is one of my best friends, too.
Oh, nice. So how did you move from atheist skeptic to, if you don't mind me asking the question?
You got to go back a step, though. I started from paranormal.
Paranormal. Now, what do you mean, like occultism?
No, it's paranormal is people who believe in ghost hunting and shit like that, and psychics.
Yeah, you know what? So did I.
Yeah. I was involved in the paranormal community, and I went to skepticism, to atheism. Yeah, I was always a skeptic. I didn't believe in ghosts from the beginning. But it's a long story. Anyways, how did I go from atheism to Satanism?
Yeah.
The Satanic Temple. And my interview, I did an interview with Lucian and a guy named Al Stefanelli. Al, I love you. He's not on the podcast anymore, but he was a great co-host. And we did an interview with Lucian, and I was sold. And I've done interviews with Peter Gilmore, too, so everybody knows. I did an interview with Peter Gilmore a couple years before the one with Lucian.
I heard he's a real nice guy.
Peter Gilmore is I would have to say that if there's one thing he learned from Anton was the theatrics and how to act like a showman. Because his writings and his attitude about the Satanic Temple conflict a little bit with his personality when you talk to him. He's very jovial, very, those people can't call themselves Satanists. Anton LaVey's defined Satanism.
Okay, here's what bothers me about the whole LaVey bullshit. Is people think, okay, the world did not begin when TV and radio began. And people's evidence, their credible claims are all based on media. And I assert that Satanism began before Christianity. At its core, the left-hand path, the adversary, the defier. It began way before Jesus. There are left-hand paths.
Absolutely, I would agree with that.
There are left-handed path practitioners in Hinduism, in Buddhism. But they just don't have this sort of binary notion that we as Western people
modern civilization, yeah.
Yeah, and anyway, sorry. That's been bothering me a lot, and a lot of the stuff I read, people are like, well, LaVey started Satanism.
I don't want to undercut Anton LaVey for the genius that he had, because it was genius, his plan. And I want to say that
awesome.
Awesome plan. And I wish he wasn't dead. You know what I mean? Because I think Peter Gilmore is a shoddy and wishy-washy representation of what Anton LaVey. I don't think every time that it's kind of creepy the way they use the word or the name Anton LaVey, because it's kind of like almost like he's Jesus for the Church of Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they defer to him too much. They want to say, they default to his name, saying, "Oh, Anton wouldn't like this. Anton would frown on this." And
yeah,
it's just who are you to speak for a guy who's dead? Let's move forward.
Yeah, I've been going back and I'm really bolstering up my foundation. I'm going back and watching all kinds of interviews with Anton and, Lucian and everyone else, and Michael Aquino.
Yeah.
Just all these people who other people are going to refer to, because nobody fucking reads anymore. They just watch YouTube videos and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of it, but, I'm cracking the books too, and just trying to have a firm foundation to, be a useful spokesperson someday for the temple,
Yeah. And I think that that's one thing I've tried to do, is tried to get as many of the chapter founders as possible on. Mm-hmm. And anyone else who wants to come on the podcast as a Satanist who identifies under the Satanic Temple moniker or under our belief system, and just get their opinions, because it is so varied and it is different, and we all have our own parts of it that we believe in stronger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's important we've done that, as well as address some of the people who have been kind of attacking the Satanic Temple without... The opinions I express here are my own. They're not of the Satanic Temple. I'm a priest for the Satanic Temple, but I don't claim to speak for them. Mm-hmm. But I think that someone needs to speak to these people who are coming at us a little bit and kind of put them in their place. People like Tom Raspotnik.
How the hell did you get on this Cox radar?
Oh, because he was talking shit. When people talk shit,
what do you want me to talk shit about?
He's talking shit because he's a theistic Satanist, and is very critical of us identifying as Satanists, and says we're not allowed to, and says this and says that, and just the dude's just a total jackass. But if he's going to talk in public, if he's going to say things in public, then you get called on him in public, and that's what I've got to do. And then he started attacking me personally, so it's kind of got a little bit of a personal twist. So anytime I talk about Tom Raspotnik, I try to keep it brief, because he's not really worth the time. But
Right.
I know what bugs him. Tom, if you're listening right now, I know what bugs you, motherfucker. That's why I do it. Because it kills him. You know what I mean? It kills him. And he can't... I know he likes to hear his own name, but that's one of the things I like to do, is take someone who is so egotistical, they love to hear themselves speak and hear their own name, take it and just put their name out there every once in a while. And the beginning of this podcast will start with Tom Raspotnik. And anybody listening's already heard it, but I think it speaks to exactly the kind of character he is, and I love to just make it public. And what's beautiful about it is it's not even me that's finding this shit, it's other people sending it to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I guess I should take a minute to thank everyone who's been supportive of the podcast and my fight with Tom, and just, I had somebody send me a contact today, and all I said was "Hail Satan." And it's, it's the best thing you can,
Nice.
what kind of support can you expect better than that,
Hell yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I told you this personally, but I want to tell your audience too. I'm a way late adopter. Like, I didn't get a iPhone until like a few years ago. I got my first laptop in like 2011, so I'm a way late adopter. So the Modern Satanist podcast is the very first podcast that I ever got into.
That's awesome. Yeah,
and it was because of the solid information, the guests, the dastardly, playfully production, everything about it is just awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Nat. I appreciate that.
I love it. Love it a lot.
I like doing it too. It's actually, at this time, it's my favorite podcast. I do like 4, but this is my favorite one. Yeah.
Wow. So you do this one. Do you do the Angry Atheist?
I do the Angry Atheist still. I do Reapso Radio, and I do a program called A News every once in a while too, as a co-host. And there's been other podcasts I've been involved in, but yeah, those are the main ones I'm doing now.
Cool.
So, yeah.
And I've had friends over the past 3 years that have podcasts that I didn't listen to.
I'm even more flattered now.
Yeah, just because I have a friend who does. I'm really into comic books and sci-fi movies and stuff like that. Yeah. And I have a friend that does a podcast, and I don't know. No, I don't want to plug it because I don't want to.
I haven't heard it yet. So.
Satanic Temple. You might not appreciate it, but it's all about that shit now. And I go look at it, and it's like an hour and a half long, and I'm like, I don't have an hour and a half to listen to your.
Yeah, that's why I try and keep the podcast short.
Yeah, well, you do well, but yeah. So this was the first one. I'm thrilled to be part of it now. It's like I'm giddy like a schoolgirl.
Stop. And we got to wrap this up because we've been 43 minutes. And you're going to make my podcast too long now.
If you went to pee, so there's some to cut out.
Yeah. Just a
and
little
you can
bit.
always use bits of it later, but I'll see you tomorrow, too.
Okay. Hey, Jed,
Reap?
we drink tomorrow, right?
Indeed, a little bit.
Hail Satan. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. It'll be good to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Cool,
So,
man.
you have any words you want to leave the listening audience with?
It's actually a quote from, or a quotation. I really hate when people do that. A quote is what a mechanic or a real estate agent gives you. A quotation is the words from somebody else. So this is Shakespeare reinterpreted by William S. Burroughs. And here it goes. And I'll try to do it in his voice. Only fools do those villains pity who are punished before their mischief is done.
Nice.
All right, brother. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, bro. Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. That'll be good.
All right, cheers.
Okay, 1 o'clock, right?
Yep.
All right. Hail Satan.
Hell Satan.
That's Satanism, people. Satanism.
Get back, Satan. Jesus is back in town. Rick Jones, acting as a citizen, he emphasized, not in his official capacity as a state senator, has stolen Christmas back from the Satanic Temple of Detroit, which this week riled Christians with an announcement of plans to erect an outdoor Satan-themed holiday display on the state capitol grounds in Lansing. Jones, a Grand Lodge Republican, told the Lansing News he was a little outraged that a satanic group had decided to steal a Christian holiday. As a Christian, he said, I think it's important that we respond to this. This is what Christmas is. It's not the presents about the food. It's about God, period. But, Tom, okay, Rick, Christmas is not in the pagans and stuff. Private citizen Jones's response was a small nativity scene depicting a infant Jesus with the Virgin Mary and Joseph. How sweet. On loan from Broner's Christmas Wonderland in Frankmouth, the three-piece nativity was put in place Friday on the Capitol's East Lawn as about 20 supporters sang, "Oh come ye, all ye thankful, hark the herald angels sing, and joy to the world." This is what Christmas is, said Jan Fry, who traveled from Grand Rapids with her husband Jim and their cow to take part in the ceremony in Lansing. It's not the presents and the food, she told the Lansing News. It's about God. Period. God has a lot of periods. You ever notice that? Satanists prefer the outcry against the satanic display. I'm just saying. Display included members of the Michigan State Capitol Commission that approved the request. Wow, how easy it is to get that approved, isn't it? Member John Truscott said it was absolutely disgusting for Satanists to hijack a Christian holiday. But denying the request would have violated their First Amendment rights, he said. Well, finally, a voice of reason. For all the fiery rhetoric over the planned display, the Satanic Temple's Detroit chapter wasn't all that keen on flexing his constitutional muscle. In fact, he thinks religious iconography has no place on state land, local church founder Jex Blackmore said. But because the Capitol Commission had previously approved a plan for a Christian nativity display, which fizzled out when sponsor couldn't find anyone to take it down each evening to comply with commission rules, Blackmore's group thought their display provided an important balance. If there was going to be a singular voice represented, we felt it best to add to that representation of diversity here in Michigan, she said. Blackmore told the Detroit News she was troubled by the religious overtones in critics' remarks. Another state official, Detroit Democratic Senator Tupac Hunter, said Satanist holiday displays is an effort to mock the concept of religious freedom and an attempt to scorn Christianity. If our legislature finds it morally incomprehensible to respect the diversity of differences among Michigan citizens, Blackmore responded, then perhaps they are much better served as members of the clergy rather than representatives of the people. That's pretty easy to figure out. The Satanist display, called a Snaketivity Scene, will feature a serpent, a cross, and a secular message that the greatest gift is knowledge. It's scheduled to be displayed on the North Capitol lawn Sunday through Tuesday. Just as the nativity is a myth representing the birth of Christ, the snake is representative of the myth of the birth of human enlightenment and liberation, Blackmore said. Jones and a team of volunteers from area churches have agreed to disassemble and reassemble the Christian display each day to comply with the rules governing displays on the Capitol grounds. Widely circulated stories about Michigan's dueling holiday displays have provided material for humorists, satirists, and comedians. Har, har, har. For example, the Metro Times took a snarky stab at the Christian Nativity, saying that it features a visibly happy, towel-headed baby Jesus. What it certainly lacks in historical accuracy. The irrelevant alternative, Newsweekly said, is it makes up for it in cuteness. That baby Jesus is cute. I want to smack him, though. Kind of ask for it.
You have the privilege of listening to the Modern Satanism podcast. Tune in again. You'll be glad you did.
In Palm Beach, Florida, a professing Florida atheist who recently led an invocation to Mother Earth, Satan, and other entities at a public meeting in Lake Worth has been denied his request to do the same at a commission meeting in Palm Beach County. Preston Smith of Miami stepped into the podium to deliver an invocation on December 2nd. A number of commissioners, as well as Mayor Pam Trilio, exited the room so they would not be participants in what was about to take place. Our collective atheism, which is to say loving empathy, scientific evidence, and critical thinking, leads us to believe that we can create a better, more equal community without religious divisions, he said. May we pray together. Mother Earth, we gather today in your redeeming and glorious presence to invoke your eternal guidance in the universe, the original creator of all things, Smith began. May the efforts of this council blend the righteousness of Allah with the all-knowing wisdom of Satan. May Zeus, the great God of justice, grant us strength tonight. Jesus might forgive our shortcomings while Buddha enlightens us through his divine affection, he continued. We praise you, Krishna, for the sacrifice that freed us all. After all, if Almighty Thor is with us, who can ever be against us? And I can't say enough to say, wow, that's great. Smith then scorned the concept of heaven and hell, and he urged adherence to humanistic attempts to define right from wrong. And finally, for the bounty of logic, reason, and science, we simply thank the atheist, agnostics, humanists, and who now account for 1 in 5 Americans and are rapidly growing, he stated. In closing, let us, above all, love one another, not to obtain mythical rewards for ourselves now, hereafter, or based on superstitious threats of eternal damnation, but rather embrace secular-based principles of morality, and do good for goodness sake. And so we pray, Smith concluded. So what? I think I love him. In a recent interview with the Christian Post, Smith stated that he sought to do the same in Palm Beach County but was rejected. The Palm Beach County Commissioners meeting, they have denied my request, opting instead to strictly allow the commissioners themselves to give overtly Christian-themed invocations. He said, I consider this a monopoly of certain religious viewpoint, the very opposite of the Supreme Court's intention. It is not known if Smith will continue to attempt to deliver his prayer at other meetings across the state. However, he told local television station WPTV that his goal was to stop prayer before public government meetings altogether. Atheist and blogger Chaz Stevens, known for erecting a Festivus pole made of beer cans at the Florida State Capitol Rotunda, has a similar goal. He submitted a request to deliver a Satanist prayer in Lake Worth. We want to make a circus out of it, Stevens told the outlet. We want to make a fiasco out of it. We want to make it so utterly ridiculous that they rethink this. And I think maybe they're rethinking it, but people in Florida, man, are always a pain in the ass. In case you haven't noticed, they're all crazy. No offense to any listeners in Florida, but move out of the state while you can.
It has Satanism, and it's modern.
Eric Church isn't quite living up to his last name with his latest arena tour, which features a gigantic inflatable Satan named Lucifer for Church's song Devil, Devil, Prelude to the Prince of Darkness. While the move would hardly turn ahead in the rock world, in the traditionally more conservative country landscape, he's predictably seeing a bit of backlash. As reported by Saving Country Music, some fans are voicing their disapproval. From one of the biggest music lovers, Eric Church, you have some great songs, and I have been around since your workplay days. However, your concert tonight was disheartening, said a concert goer named Allison Prontho. A ginormous Satan. No thank you. Children were at that concert. That should be enough said right there. The article notes that The devil is wearing a Nashville belt buckle made of an upside-down pentagram symbolizing the greed and malfeasance of the country music business and Music Row. Is this hypocrisy on the part of the church or simply a playful grand gesture? Is he not inappropriate for children, or is it just another example of country music being not as far from mainstream rock and pop norms as we once thought? I say, hail Satan, let him put whatever Satan he wants up there, and everybody needs to get over it, especially you country music people. You guys are all uptight.
Call it Satan's masterstroke of genius.
In Palm Beach, Florida, a professing Florida atheist who recently led an invocation to Mother Earth, Satan, and other entities at a public meeting in Lake Worth has been denied his request to do the same at a commission meeting in Palm Beach County. Preston Smith of Miami stepped into the podium to deliver an invocation on December 2nd. A number of commissioners, as well as Mayor Pam Trilio, exited the room so they would not be participants in what was about to take place. Our collective atheism, which is to say loving empathy, scientific evidence, and critical thinking, leads us to believe that we can create a better, more equal community without religious divisions, he said. May we pray together. Mother Earth, we gather today in your redeeming and glorious presence to invoke your eternal guidance in the universe, the original creator of all things, Smith began. May the efforts of this council blend the righteousness of Allah with the all-knowing wisdom of Satan. May Zeus, the great God of justice, grant us strength tonight. Jesus might forgive our shortcomings while Buddha enlightens us through his divine affection, he continued. We praise you, Krishna, for the sacrifice that freed us all. After all, if Almighty Thor is with us, who can ever be against us? And I can't say enough to say, wow, that's great. Smith then scorned the concept of heaven and hell, and he urged adherence to humanistic attempts to define right from wrong. And finally, for the bounty of logic, reason, and science, we simply thank the atheist, agnostics, humanists, and who now account for 1 in 5 Americans and are rapidly growing, he stated. In closing, let us, above all, love one another, not to obtain mythical rewards for ourselves now, hereafter, or based on superstitious threats of eternal damnation, but rather embrace secular-based principles of morality and do good for goodness sake. And so we pray, Smith concluded. So what? I think I love him. In a recent interview with the Christian Post, Smith stated that he sought to do the same in Palm Beach County but was rejected. The Palm Beach County Commissioners meeting, they have denied my request, opting instead to strictly allow the commissioners themselves to give overtly Christian-themed invocations. He said, I consider this a monopoly of certain religious viewpoint, the very opposite of the Supreme Court's intention. It is not known if Smith will continue to attempt to deliver his prayer at other meetings across the state. However, he told local television station WPTV that his goal was to stop prayer before public government meetings altogether. Atheist and blogger Chaz Stevens, known for erecting a Festivus pole made of beer cans at the Florida State Capitol Rotunda, has a similar goal. He submitted a request to deliver a Satanist prayer in Lake Worth. We want to make a circus out of it, Stevens told the outlet. We want to make a fiasco out of it. We want to make it so utterly ridiculous that they rethink this. And I think maybe they're rethinking it, but people in Florida, man, are always a pain in the ass. In case you haven't noticed, they're all crazy. No offense to any listeners in Florida, but move out of the state while you can.
The time has come for Satanism to rise up in challenge to superstitions, that which hinders the progress of science, and attempts to prevent everyone from enjoying the same freedoms. The time is now. Rise up and let your voice be heard. Idiot's rule has been the way for far too long. That soon will change.
And that's going to wrap up this Xmas edition of Modern Satanism. I want to thank everyone for their support and their contributions. And I want to thank everyone for the emails I've been getting. It's been great. Really, thank you very much. I only hope I can live up to the expectations, I guess, of the podcast. I hope I haven't set the bar too high, and I can keep going on. I want to remind you that I did put a little bit on the Deferred Gnosis podcast, so you can hear me on that, and hopefully you'll keep an eye out for that. And I want to thank Lucian, and I want to thank Jed, and I want to thank everyone who's been doing so much work for Satanism this year to put us in the spotlight and show people that we aren't a joke. We're actually moving forward, and you can't stop us. We're a force to be reckoned with, if nothing else. And I'll keep doing what I can for the next year. You keep doing what you can. If you got some extra change, make sure you contribute to the Modern Satanism podcast, because I'm fucking broke. And contribute to the Satanic Temple, because we cannot fight all this bullshit without some support. Money helps. And I'm sorry, that's the way it is, but that is the way it is. We need money to help fight this bullshit. And these Christians are all tossing their dollar bills into the fucking pen. You know, we're not asking you to worship Satan. We're not telling you, we're not giving you any ultimatums. We're just telling you, if you want us to fight this bullshit that's going on, we really do need your support. So if you have it, give it. If you don't have it, then just do what you can. Help support the podcasts, share it with your friends and neighbors, help support the Satanic Temple, share your views. When you see something wrong going on, say something. When you see wrongs, make them right the best you can, and have a great, great holiday season. I'm going to shut the podcast down with a little Christmas cheer from my daughter. All right? Hail Satan.
And you have a Merry fucking Christmas.